Okay, so hi everyone. Been a while since I did a tutorial video here. So time for another one. And again, we are in Clip Studio Paint. Um, and originally I was going to do a bunch of different lining techniques. I'm still playing around with some of the settings, so um, that'll have to be another one in the future. But the one that I'm starting to use a lot more often is the one that I'm going to show you right now. Now, last time I did a tutorial video here on the Black Diamond Authority channel. I just gave a quick overview of the digital art process from redlining, sketching, um, freehand inking, and so on. And I just did that really, really quickly. So now I've figured I'd go in, which keep in mind, a quick style is not bad. It can become a bad habit if you use it too often or if you use it inappropriately. Um, the way that I showed before was lining on a raster layer, which um, at larger scales and things like that, it causes pixel artifacts within your lines, and that can be okay if you want to have a more toothy style to your line work. But if you want it to be smoother, and if you want it to do, say, some high quality illustrations for a comic book cover, or for an illustration of a character, or if you just want like really high res digital comic pages, then you'd probably line in the technique that I'm going to show today, which is to line on a vector layer. Um, so, one second, let me get back into my program here. All right, so as you can see, I've already got my sketch set up. Um, and right now we're going to go into, so I've already got this set up. So what you're going to want to do is when you're ready to line, you're going to go here for a new vector layer, and that'll create this. And then when you go to your pen tool, you'll have this vector magnet option that you can turn on. Now, I've got this set on max, which seems to work pretty well for my style. I personally have a lot of nerve damage in my wrists, so even a confident line for me can be a little on the wavy side. So having the additional vector magneting where I can correct more of my line more often um, really, really helps out with keeping the lines straight and good and really clean. So with that all said, we're gonna get into this. I'm gonna be quiet for a little bit as I line around. There might be a little bit of commentary here and there, but I just want to show you guys what this is gonna look like when we start using a vector for our lining pen. So first things first, we're going to zoom in just a wee bit more. Okay, that way we get, you see how it creates just the nicest, like it follows, with the stabilization and the vector magneting, it really follows those curves that I want them to follow. And it doesn't go off on a rakish angle, um, because, my hand wavered or whatever. One of the things that I really like about using uh, the vectoring technique is, like I said, it keeps your lines clean at at higher resolutions. So if I wanted to scale this image up, like right now it's in um, 1920 by 1080. If I want to scale it up to, I think I could go as far as 2K without getting any artifacting. So I could go up to a 2K res, um, I'm pretty sure, and it wouldn't artifact too badly. Whereas with a raster lining, there would be a lot of artifacts and it would look very toothy. Um, but I highly recommend uh, using vector lining if you want these nice crisp lines. I mean, you don't have to do the vector magnet like I do. Um, Not everyone has massive amounts of uh, nerve damage in their wrists, so you know. And I do want to point out, because I'm sure some people have um, questions about it, why I don't go like all in one direction or anything like that. It's one of the things that I learned from art school is that so in order to keep the flow of energy in a drawing or an illustration um, good, you want to be constantly using like kind of a push and pull technique. So if I push one way, I want to be pulling back the other way. Um, and almost all the time, like it'll help you keep your lines clean. Um, and like it especially helps on when you're doing arms and legs and things like that. You want to like go one direction with one line and then go to the other side of the leg and go the opposite direction, and will help keep your lines uh, a lot more uniform, we'll say. So again, I'm going to push one way and I'm going to pull back the other way. Now you don't always have to do it with everything, because like for the eyelashes here, you can just go back around. But when you're doing, especially when you're doing circles, it's so for like eyes, for anything that's rounded, you want to be going one direction and then coming back and meeting um, that those lines. It helps keep everything more uniform. Like your arm, your arm and your brain know what it wants to do, but if you fight that at any point, um, you're not going to get the result that you want. So you always have to. And then if you can't figure out, like, if something is at an awkward angle, this is absolutely key for digital painting and digital drawing. Flip the canvas. It's the easiest thing in the world to do for us, those of us that operate in a digital medium, and it saves so much time. Um, it helps you maintain um, your levels, your elevations, your symmetry. It helps you maintain so much. So flip often, um, and then flip some more. To be honest, like there's never a reason not to flip your work when you're doing digital art, because unless you're ambidextrous, um, most of us have a dominant hand, and that's the one that we're going to be doing all of our work with. So making sure that whatever element we are working on is in the appropriate space for us to line in, that goes a long way. And whilst we're on it, we can go over, since this character that I'm working on has braids, or rather a braid, we can go over how to do like a quick and easy way to do braids. And this is all that I'm doing, is I'm making this little sideways S pattern. And then coming back to meet it, and I can actually do that sideways S the other way as well. But it creates a really nice, neat looking braid. And then, like I said, you always want to be checking your work. So normally I would have a hotkey already set up on my tablet for making sure that I flip my work, but uh, things as they are, I haven't actually spent a lot of time in the settings of my tablet. Been a wee bit on the overwhelmed and busy side. And then another thing that I'll always point out when you're lining any of your work, um, and it's always a good habit to get into. I still fall prey to this, like right here. Uh, Close your lines. Make sure that your lines are nice and clean and apart, because when you're filling in later with flat colors and things like that, these tiny little spaces, like if there's not enough space for the pixels to really be distinct in between, it can cause some problems when you're doing like um, your magic wand or whatever to try and like fill in specific areas. So, you know, keep your distancing good. Um, it might seem weird at first, um, but I can absolutely assure that um, it'll save you a lot of headaches in the long run if you make sure that there's a decent amount of space. Uh, but if you can't, it's no big deal, because you can always go back in and um, by hand paint those areas that didn't get filled in properly. But always connect your lines. Definitely get in the habit of always connecting your lines. That'll save you the most amount of headaches. I cannot tell you how many times I've tried to just fill in an area really quick that I was pretty sure was all one element, and had it turn half my canvas whatever color I was trying to fill it in. It's annoying. It's a bother. It's a really bad habit to get into, to not fill your lines. That said, there are certain styles that actually benefit from not having those lines fully closed. Um, but that's something that you can get into later. At the start, it's always a good idea to close your lines. It makes, like I said, flatting in your colors easier, and it makes the whole process go by a little bit quicker. And if you're like me, I'm a little bit impatient when it comes to my art. This is not a good thing. Don't be like me, kids. What you want to do is you always want to take your time. And if you need to get up and take a walk, you know, walk away from your art, whatever, then do so. Um, Trying to do it all in one go, like I often do, is a really good way, especially working on tablets, even if you're in the most ergonomical setup. I'm in my bedroom right now. It's the comfiest place for me. But craning my neck, if I don't take breaks often enough, end up with a sore neck. But if you need to walk away for any reason, then do so. Um, your work will still be there, and oops, when you come back, you'll have fresh eyes, and you'll be able to maybe see some areas that need to be touched up later or need to be redone. And one of the other things that I'm probably going to do in a future video is the different ways to like make cloth lines. I'm starting to get a little bit better at that, and I'd love to show some techniques that I've been practicing on to really help sell the image of how clothing behaves in certain situations. Now, one of the things with doing belts in digital art is that there are these really like finicky, fiddly bits of detail, and as I said before, you want to make sure that your lines are spaced enough, but that it still makes sense. So belt buckles might seem like they're easy. They're actually some of the hardest things to do, especially if you're going to do a full color. If this was going to be grayscale or just a line drawing, it might not be that much of a problem. But given that this is eventually going to be a full color, I definitely want to make sure that my lines look okay. And that is the thing. Like I'll always add in small details when I'm lining. I don't like to clutter up my sketches with the small details. Those I always feel can be added in when you're doing the final bits of your drawing. Okay, and there we have it. There's our, I mean, when you're doing lining, you're never really done. You'll always find something that you maybe want to tweak here and there, and that's the good thing about digital art, is that you can go back and tweak those. You can make, you know, a first draft lining like what I've done here, and go back, refine it, really like I do, go back in, put in a few more tiny details, maybe add a feature here and there if the outfit's looking too plain. Um, but there it is. That is a little tutorial on doing vector lining for digital paint in Clip Studio Paint. I hope you all had um, an easy time following along. Um, and I hope you've definitely learned a little bit more about how to maybe get more of the looks that you're looking for out of Clip Studio Paint. It's a very robust illustration system. I absolutely love it, and it's learning how to use it has immensely helped um, me figure out better workflow efficiencies for a lot of the things that I'm doing, current projects that are in the pipeline. Um, so I hope that in me sharing these with you, that they can help you as well. And I will definitely be back with another tutorial once I learn some more stuff that I feel I can share and pass on to the rest of you. All right. Have yourself a wonderful day.